In addition to turning to the turkey, turn your TVs to America's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
That's right. We went behind, between, and even on top of some of these floats that really makes it America's Thanksgiving Parade. You have to check out the behind the float. Take a look.
400,000 square feet.
The Studio B, where we build
At least 75 unique floats, balloons, and marching bands.
They play really loud, fun music. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh my God.
We never interrupt the artist. But
97 years of America's Thanksgiving Parade, and all the magic happens here.
it's the best.
Yeah.
And the parade wouldn't be what it is today without the thousands of dedicated volunteers like Sharon Morris.
These are my daughters. This
Family
is why
business.
I'm here. That's my dad. And this is the 5th generation of parades. This will be my 61st.
And we were lucky enough to get a grand tour from Sharon herself.
So the Parade Company is a non-for-profit organization, which means that we are in business only to make great event for everybody. The biggest event we do is the parade. This is the building part of the facility.
Sharon tells us every float goes through a 4-step pre-procession process.
This one right here, they're working on right now. This is Corewell Health, and that's a company that has joined with Beaumont. They take the cartoon, put it onto a graph paper. Every single square is a foot, and everything is fitting together. So they have all these little figures putting together the puzzle pieces. They will shape the steel rods, cover them with chicken wire, then a thin layer of foam. Then they use muslin, and muslin is a material that has sizing in it. So once it gets wet with glue or paint, it goes from like a sheet material into like a drum skin. The other thing we use a lot of is styrofoam. Here, this is Studio B, where we build. When we started this parade season, that whole wall was full of styrofoam, and we filled it 2 or 3 times this year. So the artist will take the styrofoam, put it together to make the size that they need. Again, that's what she's working on, so she knows exactly how big it is. I would assume that these probably are the arms. And then they start sanding, and it just gets that smooth. We have the world's largest collection of papier-mâché heads, antique papier-mâché heads. Most of them were made in Baraggio, Italy. The plaster, once it dries, is pulled apart, and then there's a front and back, and they're voids. So they build the papier-mâché in the voids. This right here is part of the Corewell Health float with the puzzle pieces. This is the middle piece of that float. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh my God.
Russ is a full-time employee. He puts all the details into everything.
My main job is making sure everything gets painted according to our concept art. We've got about 40 colors that we work with regularly. We stick to that color palette throughout the entire process. Corewell float that we're working on right now, we've probably used about 50 gallons of paint so far.
Each and every float is uniquely designed and crafted to represent each company, as well as its role in the city. And as the city changes, so do the floats.
So we're standing right here on the Ford float that got some upgrades this year because the Roosevelt Park also got some upgrades. So they have to match it with this wonderful changing city.
This is the layout. They taped it out, that's the layout. So they will finish this with all the plants, and it'll be beautiful.
Every float is different, and every float represents different parts of Detroit.
They say this is the float where everything is moving, but that's how you do it with jazz in Detroit.
There's something in the parade for everyone.
I remember this from my teen years. I remember the monkeys.
It is no wonder that this float was designed by kids. It's very fun, and during the parade, you'll actually see professional acrobats doing tricks on the float, just like me.
It takes a year for everything to come together, all for one very special Thanksgiving morning. And if you look close, you can really see how it all comes together.
Pieces fit together. These won't fit together, no.
It really is a labor of love, right down to the very last detail. And that's something to be thankful for.